there's any of you out there who have ever wondered what it would be like to turn a Marvel property into an 80s action film, I think I found the movie for you. So Thor Ragnarok is the next film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's the third film inside of, I guess, the now Thor trilogy. And the plot of Thor Ragnarok is actually pretty simple. Evil goddess of death, Hela, played by Cate Blanchett, comes into Asgard, and now Thor, Loki, and everybody else has to try to stop her. And while that is going on, Thor bumps into the Hulk, and we get a bit of a buddy cop movie as well. Now, obviously, I know that isn't a lot to go off of, but guys, there's a reason why. I hate giving spoilers, and this movie was just thoroughly enjoyable. Starting out, the action in this movie, just like every other Thor film, is really exciting to watch, except this time we have the plus of having that really cheesy, over-the-top 80s dialogue. Like I said at the beginning of this review, Thor Ragnarok is a Marvel property turned into an 80s action film. And I really gotta give credit to Taika Waititi for making Thor Ragnarok go in a completely different direction than any of the previous films in this trilogy have. Because the previous two Thor films in essence were dramas. Thor Ragnarok is a comedy, and most of the humor surprisingly lands. I wasn't expecting the movie to be as funny as it was, but 95% of the humor in this film lands, and the entire audience was roaring. In fact, in this film, I was one of the hardest people laughing in the movie theater. Now, of course, we need to talk about the newest additions into this world, because we know we have Hulk, we have Thor, we have Loki, we have Odin, and they're all awesome as always. But let's talk about Cate Blanchett as Hela for a second. Cate Blanchett brought so much to this role. She's evil, she's power hungry, she's sexy, and I'm not even joking, she is sexy. My face was red pretty much every single time she was on screen. But the point is, Cate Blanchett did a great job as Hela. And right as she's brought on screen, you realize that Hela has a lot more depth than her character could have had. She's after Asgard, she's after the throne, but there's a very deep and personal reason as to why she's going after it, and it made her quite a relatable villain. And now we gotta talk about Jeff Goldblum, because he was great. The best way I can describe it is if you take Willy Wonka from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, turn him a little bit more crazy, and make him the ruler over these Romanian Colosseum type games. In fact, there was a small section of this movie that reminded me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Trust me, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. In all honesty though, I also did find Thor Ragnarok to have the most mythology in it of all the Thor films. Between Thor, Hela, and everything inside of the Asgardian world, there was a lot of really intriguing stuff in here. However, even though I'm pretty sure everybody is going to say that Thor Ragnarok is an insanely fun movie, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. While I am happy the director decided to take this Thor film in a completely different direction than the other Thor films, the dialogue mixed with the comedy, sometimes it doesn't really always land. In fact, there were a couple of scenes where it seemed as though the drama was picking up and it was going to be a very heartfelt scene, but then something happened to make the scene less dramatic and less heartfelt and more funny. And when that happened, it never usually landed for me. And it's not like I was the only person who didn't find it funny. During those particular scenes, most of the audience wasn't really laughing either. And while I can admit the 80s-esque dialogue is really entertaining to listen to, sometimes it's really horrendous to watch. And once again, it's no different here. Some scenes in Thor Ragnarok, they're a little rough around the edges. Guys, Thor Ragnarok was a complete blast. I loved watching this movie. Although there are a few spots that it's rough around the edges that could have been reworked, that were a little bit too cheesy, the combination of the added mythology mixed with the amazing new characters we're introduced to, and the fact that Thor Ragnarok can stick on its own without really relying on any previous Marvel films means simply one thing, guys, and that is that Thor Ragnarok is a good casual watch. But as always, it is what you guys say that matters. So have you had a chance to see Thor Ragnarok? And what did you think of it? More importantly, what is your favorite of any of the Thor films? Whatever your choice may be, leave a comment down below. telling me those thoughts. And if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right there and subscribe and become part of the fray of nerds who love cinema. You all have a fantastic day.